The sky was dark, filled with smoke and fire. Explosions shook the ground every few seconds. The battlefield was covered with broken weapons, burned vehicles, and bodies. It smelled like ash and blood. No birds, no wind. Just war. In the middle of this horror stood a young alien girl. Her name was Kalira. Her armor was cracked, her left arm was bleeding, and her breathing was heavy. She held a broken blade in one hand. Her other hand was pressed to her side, where a bullet had cut through her armor. She was the last one left. Her people had fought hard, but now they were gone. All of them. She looked around. Empty, quiet. Too quiet. Behind her, under some broken metal sheets, a few alien children were hiding. They were scared, cold, and silent. She had promised them she would protect them. She couldn't fail now. Kalira took a deep breath, stood tall, and faced the hill ahead. Enemy drones flew above. She could hear metal boots in the distance. The enemy was coming again. She didn't have any backup. No medics, no hope. She was alone. Her legs shook, her hands trembled. But she tightened her grip on the blade. "I can't die yet," she whispered. "Not until they're safe." Suddenly, red lights appeared through the smoke. Enemy soldiers. At least 20. Their leader, a huge armored brute, shouted, "There she is, the last one. Kill her and bring the kids." Kalira gritted her teeth. "Come then." She charged forward, screaming a war cry that echoed across the broken land. She fought like a storm, fast, fierce, desperate. She dodged lasers, blocked attacks, and used her broken blade like a deadly whip. She stabbed one soldier, kicked another, then rolled under gunfire. But there were too many. One shot hit her leg. She fell to one knee. Another blast knocked the blade from her hand. The enemy closed in. The brute laughed. "You fought well, little warrior. But this is the end." Kalira looked up. Her vision was blurry. Her strength was fading. The children behind her started crying. She closed her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Then, a sound. Bang. A flash of light. A soldier fell. Then another. Kalira opened her eyes in shock. The enemy stopped, confused. The brute turned. "Who's firing?" More gunshots, fast, clean, deadly. From the smoke stepped a tall figure, human, wearing dark armor, carrying a high-powered rifle. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. The human aimed again and spoke for the first time, voice deep and steady. "You fought well, but you're not alone anymore." Kalira blinked. Was she dreaming? The human moved like a ghost, shooting with perfect aim, covering her as he walked forward. The enemy soldiers panicked. Some ran. The brute roared and charged. But the human rolled aside and shot him in the back. The brute dropped like a stone. Silence returned. Kalira sat up slowly, staring at the human. He walked to her and knelt beside her. "Can you stand?" he asked. Who are you?" She whispered. "Just a soldier, like you." She tried to stand. Her leg hurt, but he helped her up. His hands were warm, steady. "You're human," she said, still in shock. "Yes. I thought humans left this sector." "They did. I stayed." "Why?" He looked at the hidden children. "Because someone needed help." Kalira's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away. "Thank you." The human handed her a small energy blade. "Here, you'll need this." She nodded. "What's your name?" He smiled a little. "Call me Jace." Then, more red lights appeared in the distance. Enemy reinforcements. Jace looked at her. "Can you fight?" She lifted the blade. "I will." They stood side by side as more enemies ran toward them. 2 warriors. One battle. Not alone anymore. The enemy didn't expect 2 fighters, especially not a human and an alien standing shoulder to shoulder. Laser blasts lit the air like a deadly storm. Explosions shook the ground. The children still hid in silence behind the wreckage, eyes wide, ears covered. But their tears had stopped. They were watching something strange. Something new. Kalira, the last alien warrior, had almost died. Now, she fought beside someone who shouldn't be there. A human. A stranger. Yet he protected her like a brother. Jace didn't waste time. He moved with skill, every shot hitting its target. He threw a grenade, blasted a heavy gunner, and kicked an enemy soldier into a pit. His armor was scratched, dirty, and old. But he wore it like it still had honor. Kalira fought beside him, blade dancing like firelight. She was fast, graceful, brutal. Every movement had purpose. She didn't speak much. But now, she didn't have to. The two of them fought like they'd trained together for years. Enemies started pulling back. "We need to move," Jace shouted over the blasts. "Where?" Kalira called back. He pointed to the broken ruins ahead. "Cover, ammo, maybe answers." She nodded. Jace ran first. Kalira followed, limping but refusing to slow down. He turned and covered her back, firing clean shots to push the enemy away. Once inside the ruined building, they collapsed behind a thick wall. For a moment, just a few seconds, there was silence. Kalira was breathing hard. Blood still dripped from her side. Jace tossed her a canteen. "Drink, rest your hand." She drank, then looked at him closely. "You fight like you don't care if you die," she said quietly. Jace leaned back against the wall. "And you fight like you already have." Kalira didn't smile. But something in her eyes changed. "Why are you really here?" she asked. "No humans have been seen in this war zone for weeks." Jace didn't answer right away. He pulled a small photo from a pouch on his chest, two alien kids, smiling with him in the middle. Kalira leaned closer. "My unit saved them," Jace said. "We were supposed to evacuate. The ship left before I could board." "You were left behind?" "Something like that. You didn't try to run?" Jace looked at her. "No, I found others who still needed help." She was quiet. The walls shook. Another blast hit nearby. Kalira checked her blade. "They'll come again, stronger this time," Jace reloaded. "Let them." Suddenly, the radio on his belt crackled. Static. Then a voice. "Unknown unit. Respond. Who are you?" Jace grabbed it quickly. "This is Sergeant Jace Mercer, human survivor. I'm not alone. I have one friendly and children." The voice came again. "No extraction possible. The zone is lost. Survive if you can." The radio cut. Kalira stared at him. "So, we're on our own?" Jace nodded. "Yeah." There was a long pause. Then Kalira asked softly, "Will you stay?" Jace looked at her until the last shot. Kalira looked at her cracked blade, then at his rifle. She slowly reached over and touched his arm. "You're not one of them," she said. "Neither are you," he replied. They heard boots outside. The enemy had returned. Kalira stood up. Her body screamed in pain, but her eyes were sharp. Jace stood beside her. He handed her a small energy bomb. "When I say run, throw it behind us." She nodded. Then they moved two shadows in the fireht. That not just survivors, that not just fighters. Something more was beginning. The moonlight flickered through broken glass, painting silver lines on their faces. Kalira stood by the wall, breathing slow, holding her blade tight. Jace crouched nearby, checking the last few bullets in his rifle. The enemy hadn't entered the ruins yet, but they were close. Too close. Outside, footsteps echoed on stone. Voices whispered. Metal scraped. The night was alive with danger. Jace raised a hand. Kalira froze. He pointed upward. Laser dots were moving across the ceiling. Sniper drones. They were scanning the ruins. "Stay low," he mouthed. Kalira dropped beside him as the laser dots slid over her shoulder. It paused, then moved on. Jace whispered, "They're hunting us like animals." Kalira looked at him. "Let them try." Suddenly, a distant voice called out in a deep, cruel tone. "The human is real. Double the bounty." "I want them alive." Jace's eyes narrowed. "Guess I'm famous now." Kalira raised an eyebrow. "What did you do?" he smirked. "Rescue too many people, and someone always gets angry." They stayed silent for a few more seconds, letting the patrols pass. Then Kalira whispered, "There's a way out." Jace leaned in. "Where?" She pointed to the floor, a half-covered trapdoor hidden under broken metal and dust. "My squad used it before the final fight. It leads to the tunnels." Jace nodded. "Let's move." But just as they reached the trapdoor, a loud crash echoed through the ruin. The roof caved in behind them. Enemy troops dropped in from above. "Go!" Jace shouted, covering Kalira with rapid fire. She pulled open the trapdoor and jumped in. Jace threw a flash grenade, then followed, slamming the door shut above them. The tunnel below was dark, cold, and smelled like old fuel. Kalira coughed. "That was close." Jace checked his side. A deep scratch. "Too close." They moved quickly through the narrow passage, their boots splashing in shallow water. Jace used a dim light. Kalira led the way. "This tunnel leads to an old base," she said. "Abandoned, I think." "You think?" Jace asked. She shrugged. "We'll find out." As they walked, Kalira's steps slowed. Jace noticed her, hand pressing to her ribs. "You're still bleeding," he said, stopping. "I'm fine." "No, you're not." He made her sit on a crate near a rusted door. Carefully, he cut open the armor and cleaned the wound. Kalira winced. "You're good at this." "Too much practice," Jace replied. She looked at him while he worked. "Why? Are you really still here, Jace? This war isn't yours." Jace paused, then said, "A long time ago I ran from a war. I lost people. I promised I'd never run again." Kalira was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, "You're strange, for a human." He smiled a little. "You're strange too." For an alien, they shared a short, quiet laugh. A rare moment of peace, but it didn't last. Suddenly alarms flashed in the tunnel. A sensor had been tripped. Kalira stood quickly. They found the hatch. Jace helped her up. "Run or fight?" She looked down the tunnel. Then at him. "Both." Asterisk. The alarm echoed through the dark tunnels, bouncing off the cold metal walls. Red lights blinked everywhere, painting the passage in danger. Kalira and Jace didn't hesitate. They ran. Their footsteps echoed loudly, mixing with the distant sounds of enemy soldiers shouting above. Kalira's injured leg throbbed with every step. Blood soaked through her torn armor. Jace glanced back and saw the pain on her face, but she never slowed. He reached out and grabbed her arm. "Let me carry you." "No," she gasped, shaking her head. "I have to walk." Jace didn't argue. Instead, he moved close to shield her, shooting at the soldiers who appeared at tunnel entrances behind them. "Keep moving," he urged. They reached a fork in the tunnel. Kalira pointed left, toward a narrow shaft barely wide enough for one person. Jace frowned. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "It's risky, but it's our only chance." They crawled through the tight space. Kalira's breath was heavy. Her strength was fading. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. An explosion rocked the tunnel behind them, blocking their path. Jace froze. "They're sealing us in." Kalira looked at the narrow shaft ahead. "We can't stop now." They pushed forward, hands scraping against rough metal. At last, they came to a heavy door. Jace tried the handle. It was locked. Kalira scanned the wall. A small panel blinked red. Jace used his rifle butt to smash it open, revealing wires inside. "I'm no engineer," he said, "but I can try." His fingers worked quickly, connecting wires. The panel beeped and the door slid open with a loud hiss. They rushed inside. The room was small and empty, except for a terminal blinking on the far wall. Kalira collapsed onto a crate, gasping for air. Jace sat beside her. "We need a plan." She looked at him. "They'll keep coming." "Faster now," Jace nodded. "We can't fight forever." Kalira's eyes grew distant. "I was trained to fight alone. I never needed help." Jace smiled softly. "Now you don't have to." She turned and met his gaze. For the first time, she let down her guard. "We have to survive," she said quietly. "We will," Jace promised. Outside, the distant sound of enemy boots grew louder. Time was running out. Kalira clenched her fists. "I won't let them take the children." Jace looked at her with respect. "Then let's give them a fight they'll never forget." Together, they prepared for the battle ahead. Two fighters. One goal: survive and protect. Not alone anymore. The air was thick with dust and old smoke inside the hidden base. Kalira and Jace stepped carefully through dark halls. Their boots echoed softly on cracked floors. Kalira led the way, her blade ready. Jace carried his rifle, eyes sharp. "This place," Kalira whispered. "It's from the old war." "Long forgotten," Jace nodded. "Could be useful or dangerous." They reached a large door covered in strange symbols. Kalira touched the panel. It beeped and slid open slowly. Inside was a room filled with machines, old, but still humming faintly. In the center stood a large weapon, covered by a heavy tarp. Jace's eyes widened. "Is that what I think it is?" Kalira nodded. "An ancient weapon. It could turn the battle." She stepped closer and pulled the tarp away. The weapon was huge, with glowing tubes and sharp edges. It looked powerful but unstable. Jace frowned. "Can we use it?" Kalira shook her head. "It's dangerous. It could destroy everything, including us." Jace smiled. "Sometimes that's the only way." They worked together to power up the weapon. Sparks flew. The hum grew louder. Suddenly, alarms blared. "The enemy's close." Kalira shouted. Jace grabbed her arm. "We have to be ready." Outside, the sound of heavy footsteps and angry shouts grew louder. Kalira looked at the weapon. "If this fails, we lose everything." Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we don't fail." The weapon powered up, glowing bright. Kalira felt hope for the first time in weeks. "Let's end this," she said. Jace nodded. Together, they stepped out of the hidden base, ready to fight. The battle was far from over, but now they had a secret weapon. The battlefield had changed. The enemy soldiers stopped their advance as the giant weapon roared to life. Its bright light cut through the dark smoke like a sword. Kalira's heart pounded. She held her blade tight, standing next to Jace. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded. "Let's do this." The weapon fired a powerful beam. It struck the enemy lines, knocking soldiers to the ground and breaking their armor. The enemy commander, a tall figure in heavy black armor, growled. He pushed through the chaos, eyes locked on Kalira and Jace. "You think this will stop me?" he shouted. Kalira raised her blade. "We fight together now. You can't break us." The commander charged. Kalira dodged a heavy blow but stumbled. Pain shot through her side. Jace saw it and jumped in front of her, blocking the attack with his rifle. The commander snarled and struck Jace hard, but the human stood firm. "Stay close," Jace yelled to Kalira. Together, they fought. Kalira's blade moved like lightning. Jace fired precise shots. The commander swung his massive weapon, but missed. Jace caught the chance and fired a blast to the commander's chest plate. The enemy faltered. Kalira took the moment and struck, cutting through the commander's armor. He fell to his knees, defeated. The enemy soldiers looked around. Without their leader, they lost their will to fight. They started to retreat. Kalira and Jace watched them go, breathing heavily. "We did it," Kalira said softly. Jace smiled. "Together." She looked at him, a new respect shining in her eyes. "We're stronger as one." The battlefield was quiet now, but their journey was far from over. The sun rose slowly over the ruined battlefield. The smoke began to clear, revealing a land scarred by war. Kalira stood among the rubble, breathing deeply. Her body ached, but her spirit was stronger than ever. Beside her, Jace looked around, eyes alert but calm. The alien children they had saved earlier came running toward them, laughter and tears mixing in the morning light. Kalira smiled softly as the little ones hugged her legs. "You kept your promise," Jace said, watching her. She nodded. "We kept it together." For the first time in a long time, Kalira felt hope. She looked at Jace. "You didn't have to stay." He shook his head. "I chose to. You're not alone anymore." She reached out and took his hand. The two stood quietly, watching the horizon. The war was over for now, but this was only the beginning. Two worlds had met in battle, and something new was born. Trust, friendship, and maybe even more. Kalira smiled again. "What now?" Jace grinned. "Now, we rebuild." Together, they turned away from the broken battlefield and walked forward side by side. No longer alone.